AchtungMillwall supports the Lions Food Hub, and all of our advertising revenues will be donated to support this fantastic initiative. It's now based at the Lions Centre on Bolina Road, and it's run by our own Kelly Webster. This is a friendly food bank supporting families in the Bermondsey and SE16 area. If you can help support the Lions Food Hub in any way, please visit at Lions Food Hub on Twitter or get in touch with us at AchtungMillwall. The Lions Food Hub. Come on, you Lions.
You're listening to AchtungMillwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Birmingham. Accept no substitute.
Well, dear listeners, it's been a long time since I've been to Parkview Road in Welling, but here I am. Welcome to Achtung Grassroots. My name is Nick Hart, and you join me at the aforesaid Parkview Road Stadium for the visit to Welling United of Concord Rangers. This is a National League South fixture, played on the 30th of August, Bank Holiday Monday, of course, today, dear listeners. But thank you for joining this little series that we're doing, where we try to explore our local non-league clubs and the kind of lesser known lights of South East London football, East London football. I'm standing at a rather ramshackle bit of terracing overlooking the cricket ground at the back of Welling United's ground. Backs onto Danson Park, of course. Anyone that knows the area knows that park very, very well. The stadium, I haven't been here for years. I'm trying to think the last time I came here. It would be early 1990s. Used to live in the area. Used to live just around the corner in Bexley Heath off of Aylers Road. And sometimes I'd wander around to watch Welling United back in those far-flung days. So I haven't been over here for years. I've only come here today because it is bank holiday. And to keep in spirit with doing this little series, I thought I'd come and check out the visit of Concord Rangers, based, of course, on the Canvey Island, Concord. Today's fixture finds Welling, the home side, rock bottom with the National League South. That's one level below the National League, the one that you'll see on television on BT Sport. Welling have had a poor start to the season, it's got to be said. Three games and 3 losses, including a shellacking at the weekend, a 5-0 thumping at St Albans City. So Welling will be looking for something extra today. Concord, by contrast, sit third in the table. 2 home wins, 1 away draw. So they would, I imagine, be expected to be triumphant here today. The Wings are managed by ex-Millwall, ex-Palace, ex-Swansea, ex-Gillingham, ex-Bournemouth player, ex-Gillingham co-caretaker, ex-Bromley assistant manager, ex-manager of Gillingham, and now since 2021 ex-manager of Welling United, Steve Lovell. Do you remember him from the 80s, Stevie Lovell? Well, he is managing here at Welling, so we're going to be an interesting game. Not sure what level we're going to expect out of it, but it's nice to be out on a bank holiday Monday, dear listeners. Concord at the weekend beat Hampton and Richmond by 2-1. Masterclass by their goalkeeper Miles Roberts in goal. There come the two teams. Concord in blue and yellow, and the Wings in red and white. So we're going to come back at half time for this, but meanwhile I'm going to take you to an interview that Michael kindly did with the Fisher manager, Ajay Ashanike of Fisher manager. So we're going to go over to the interview now, and we'll come back to this National League South matchup at half time. Until then, bye for now.
Achtung, Millwall.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, dear listeners of Achtung Millwall. This is yet another edition of Achtung Grassroots, and I am absolutely delighted and privileged to say that I have with me now the first team manager of local side, Fisher FC, Ajay Ashanike. How are we, Ajay? We good?
I'm okay, thank you. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Thank you again for the time coming on. I know it's been a bit of a hectic weekend with the games that you've had, and I can see you you're still driving around. So no, I do really legally, listeners, before we have any complaints, legally we're all fine. But no, thank you for taking the time. So for the listeners who aren't too sure of Fisher FC or the background behind it, obviously there's always been a little bit of a connection with Millwall Football Club and Fisher Athletic, the old Fisher. They went through their sort of tough time a few years back when they was in the Conference South playing down in Dulwich Hamlet. But in the last few seasons, they've rebranded as Fisher FC, and now we are seeing them back at St Paul's in Rotherhithe, which is their spiritual home. But I just want to touch with you, AJ, just with you as a person. How did you get into playing and coaching like Fisher sort of level? What was your journey so far?
Obviously, I started off as a player at Hamlets FC, and when I was 24, I gave it up and I took over the youth team system. I think I'd done a youth team for about 2 years. At that time, I think I had the best team in the Essex Senior at that time. Obviously, they got promoted to first team manager. My first season in Essex Senior, we came third in the league. After 3 years of that, I left, joined Fenny at Ilford as a player again because I missed the game a lot. So I wanted to come back to playing. So that's how it started really, and it's still going on to as long as I know. We've done really well so far, really.
Yeah. Fisher, some of the results have been great. I had a look at your history with Fisher, and I'm going to take a little bit of a quote that we got from the website, your appointment. So in October 2019, it said you accepted the position as the club's new manager. You were previously player manager at Tower Hamlets, as you say, and AJ joined the Fish in the summer as number 2 to Alan Fenn. The quote we've got here is, "I'm delighted to be appointed as Fisher manager and can't wait to get started. They didn't come tougher than an away trip to the top of the table, but the boys have been working hard in training and been well prepared for Sunday." How did that all sort of come about? Obviously you was brought into the club as a number 2. When did you think, this is the sort of thing I want to do? I want to be the manager, as it says there, you was number 2 to Alan Fenn. How did it all come about?
Obviously, Fenn has been my manager before, and he left the game and joined Braintree in the conference. And after he went over to the conference, obviously, then he got the Fisher job. So he gave me a call. At that time, I was at Timeless doing really well. And obviously, I've got a good network of players as well. But where Finn was out of the game for so long, the network of players at step 5 to step 4 was not his strength anymore. So obviously, it would make sense for him to bring me in. And we built a real team. We was doing really well in pre-season. For personal reason, Alan Fenn left. And when he left, majority of the boys wanted me to stay, and obviously the board wanted me to stay. I had a good chat with Fenny the night before, and he gave me his blessing to obviously take over. And I accepted to take over, and since then I've been a Fisher.
Yeah, and it's gone really from strength to strength, hasn't it? So just to touch on this season at the moment, obviously we've had a couple of sort of COVID pandemic hit seasons, which has been a bit of an issue for us, everyone really, isn't it? Even the pro game was obviously behind closed doors. But so looking at this season at the moment, you're currently in 10th and you've got 5 points from your opening 5 games. We'll touch on some of your results with like Glebe and Sheppey shortly because they're near the top of the table. But how do you think the actual start has been for you?
It's been a good start so far. It's been a tough month where we've got a really good squad. I've got a really bunch of good boys in there. But obviously playing against people like Glebe and Sheppey in the first couple of games is going to be really hard. We've been in the game, we've done really well. The boys compete at a good level, and I'm really proud of them so far this season, and hopefully it can carry on.
Yeah, it's a tough league. I mean, we said before we did the recording that I went to Erith Town and Erith and Belvedere, and got some decent sides at this level as well, along with the Glebes and Sheppies as well. We'll talk on those. So with those 2 games, as we said, the Glebe was a really narrow 3-2 loss, and Sheppey was also 1-0. Even though, yes, you did lose those games, considering how high they are from the table and where they are, you can't be too disappointed because like over the last few seasons, Sheppey have always been there or thereabouts, and Glebe look like they look like the real deal this season in the league, don't they? So you can't really be too disappointed with the lads, as you say.
Obviously, because I know what the boys can do. Some games I'm disappointed in some of the goals that we conceded in games. A bit of more experience would have helped us over the line where we was 2-0 up against Glebe with 10 men from 16 minutes in a game. A bit more experience would have won us that game. But overall, I'm really pleased with the start of the season. I'm just really pleased with how we started. But obviously, it's how we carry on. And when we play the lesser team, hopefully the boys can put out the same performance they do in the big games. Yeah,
exactly. And with these sort of non-league divisions and fixtures, they do come pretty thick and fast, don't they? When a lot of the teams have like the international breaks, you guys are still playing and you're in a lot of competitions. So just to go on a bit more about some of these games, so aside from the one game, you've always been on the score sheet. You've always had someone who scored, and I think recently you had a 1-1 draw, didn't you? So is it the strikers and the attackers you're really happy with, and what are your strengths and maybe areas where would you think you'd like to improve?
I'm really happy with the squad that we've got. Obviously, at the start of the season, we lost 6 players. So we lost especially Jamie Yao to Cray Wanderers. He's a big miss for us. But obviously now we've signed Courtney from Lewisham, which is another massive signing for us. I'm really pleased with the squad. And it looks like we're going to score goals with Liam Wins playing for us as well, which is bound to be on the score sheet every single week as well, Lee. So we're in a good place. My target is to be in the top 10 this season. And anything else is a bonus for us. So there's no pressure on the boys. They know they can do it. So it's just take it game by game and see how they go.
Yeah, exactly. And some of those names you mentioned there. So looking at your results, I've got here that Lee Wims, Malachi Coker, Courtney Swaby, they've got 7 goals between them already in the opening 5 games, which for an attacking sort of unit, that's a very good return. With all due respect for a team at the moment who's currently mid-table, obviously, if you can get 7 goals from your first 5 games from your attacking players, there's an awful lot of potential there. So how much potential do you think is in this attacking line? You said about top 10, but on their day, do you think optimistically, rose-tinted glasses, maybe you could be looking at top 8? Without putting pressure on them.
The boys got their own targets. So before we started the season, they've put a target on what they want to do this season, which is good to see what they want to achieve. And what they want to achieve is being the top 5. But me as a manager, I want to be more realistic and just say, can we beat what we did last season? And then if we can beat what we did last season by points and by position, then we've had a good season. But anything else above that is a good season for us. It's a great season for us. Anything above what we did last season. But yeah, I don't like putting pressure on the boys. They're a young squad. Obviously, Lee's come in and Lee's he's leading the line really well. He's an experienced player. He's been in the Pro League as well. Yeah. So he's more experienced than everyone else in the league and the team. So he's really carrying the team, to be honest.
Well, Diz, I appreciate, you've got quite a busy evening ahead and a busy day tomorrow. So I've got a couple more questions before we go. So you've had 2 sort of big games this weekend. One already was against Calborough, and you've got Tower Hamlets on Bank Holiday Monday, haven't you, tomorrow, which is like your old team. They might be near the foot of the table, as you say, but you can't take some of these teams for granted because someone will give you a bloody no. So how are you preparing for the Tower Hamlets game?
Obviously, that's a big game for all of us. My coaching staff was at Hamlets. Some of my players have been at Hamlets with me when I was there. This game's very personal to us, and the same way we want to win, Hamlets are going to come in to want to win. So this is like a cup final, so you never know who's going to win unless if you put the shift, whoever wants it more on the day will definitely get the 3 points. But yeah, we're going at it, and I believe my team will be strong enough to get the 3 points tomorrow.
No, lovely stuff. And so how has the support been this season? I mean, we're primarily a Millwall podcast who focus in, even though we focus on Millwall, we focus on the non-league as well. And as we touched on at the start, Millwall have always had a bit of a connection with Fisher Athletic. So how has the support been down at St Paul's? And from some of the Millwall fans who have been down there, what's it been like? How's the atmosphere been?
It's been good. When we was at Hamlets, there was no fan base for us at all. And now having a fan base is really, really good for all of us. The boys are really taking on to it. And every game, I think we get like over 100 every single game, which is really good for us.
Yeah, no, they're good numbers for those non-league levels. And just finally, before we let you go, AJ, so what message do you have for the people listening to this pod? Because we've got good numbers for the Era of Town and Era of Belvedere show. And I presume we'll get more because obviously there's a bit more of a connection with Fisher here. So if you could reach out to Millwall fans, that's like the non-league day or an international break or a game, Millwall might be away, I don't know, up at Sheffield United and people might want to come watch football. Why should they come down to Fisher to watch you guys?
At Fisher, obviously the squad's really young. There's always potential to get to see the players before they even move on to the Pro League. We play attractive football at home. We play on 3G. Hopefully the bar's open very soon. And yeah, it's just really good. We play football the right way. So obviously, if Millwall's away, we would love Millwall fans to come and see what job we do at Fisher as well.
No, exactly. And also as well, just a little plug for the supporters club. Remember, if you're a member of the supporters club, you actually get a bit of a discounted rate at Fisher, and I know that we've got a good little link up there. So I won't take up any much of your time, AJ. I'd like to thank you for coming onto the show.
Thank you so much.
And wish Fisher all the best of luck. I'd like to, you get back to your evening, enjoy your bank holiday up until your game tomorrow with Hamlets. Wish you all the very best. And
thank you.
Yeah, so on behalf of Achtung Millwall and Achtung Grassroots, Arrivederci Millwall.
Thank you so much.
Achtung, Millwall.
10 minutes in, we have a goal to list. There's a really nice finish inside the box by number 18, who I see is Shane Crabendam. Nicely controlled finish inside the box. So there we are, 10 minutes, entertainment. I've found myself a little seat in the quite a nice stand. It's a new stand, wasn't here when I used to come. This was all terracing, but they seem to have built a new stand. I mean, it's talking about a long while since I was down there, listeners. They've got a nice little pitch on the halfway line just above the protective tunnel, thoughtfully provided. 12 minutes, 13 minutes with a penalty. Long distance shot. Battered against the Concord blue shirts. Fell to one of the Welling forwards. I think it was the 23, who is Allen. He gets clipped. Referee awards a penalty immediately. No red card. We'll just follow this through. 1-0 at the moment. This is for the second. Number 9 to take. Akinyemi. Versus Miles Roberts in the Concord Rangers goal. Let's see how this goes. It's at the park end, Danson Park end. Here we go. 9 shapes up to take. Saved down low left. Nice save by Roberts. On for a corner. Drama. Catch myself speaking hushed tones. There's not many people around, and you mark yourself out as a nutcase when you do this kind of work, dear listeners. In comes the second corner in succession. It's deeper. Man goes down. No penalty, and it will run away. 15 minutes. 1-0 still to Welling United. 18 minutes. More nice skill from the 18. Crabendam, scorer of the goal, produces a free kick, probably about 25 yards, slightly left of the D. Crabendam to take. Already I know his name. He's been one of the standout players of the game so far. It's coming towards 19 minutes. He floats it in. Not bad flight corner, just over the head of everyone. It's going to be a cold kick when to the disagreement of the Welling massive at the Danson Park end. There it is, half time, and it's Welling leading by that 6-minute goal by Crabendam. Welling will be the happier of the two sides at the break. Steve Love will probably be unhappy with the missed penalty shortly afterwards. Otherwise, it's been largely even Stevens. I think the best player on either side, 18, the Crabendam, has been certainly the standout on the Welling side of things. And in goal for Concord, Miles Roberts has also made more than 1 or 2 crisp saves from the red-shirted waves coming at him. So there we are. At half-time, it is Welling United 1. Concord 0. It's been quite an enjoyable end-to-end game. It's quite strange to sit in as a neutral. You can actually enjoy the game. I'm not sure what I'm saying, but certainly it's grey, cool English bank holiday. I've got my jacket on, and it's a nice afternoon out, dear listeners. I'm enjoying myself. So there we are.
Achtung, Millwall.
So half time, have a little wander around the ground. It's some of the terracing is looking a bit ramshackle. I've got to be honest with you, dear listeners. Not that that's a huge concern, but there are signs warning you about the uneven surface knocking around. The side stand, modern stand, it's quite nice. Looks like it's been there for up to 20 years or so. I don't know, 15 years, 20 years, something like that. It certainly wasn't here when I last came here, so that might date that visit. Otherwise, it's much the same as I remembered it. It's still the same kind of slopey pitch. Parkview Road with the buses going past. Upper deck can get a quick free view of the game. I am old enough, can you believe this? I'm old enough to remember going past on one of my Red Bus Rover ticket trips out back in my youth. I'm talking about 1970 or so, and I remember one time we caught a bus all the way over to Welling for no good purpose, but I do remember going past this football ground because we were on the upper deck of, was it an 89 bus? I don't know, but we went past. I remember a game going in play. It wasn't Welling United, that was Bexley United. Looking at the Wikipedia page, there's been football played here for a very long time. The previous club that owned the ground was called Bexley United, which folded. And I briefly caught a glimpse of Bexley United versus AN Other. I don't know who they were playing that day. But interestingly, it's not actually known for how long that football's been played here. It's kind of lost in the mists of time for how long it's been a football pitch here. But certainly the main stand, the old stand as I would call it, on the far side of the pitch as I'm looking, that's been there since the 1950s. It was a club formed, Welling United club formed in the Eltham leagues, district leagues, junior leagues, and it's come through many a lower level, Kent League, by the Hobbins family, Sid Hobbins, and I do remember Graham Hobbins being the manager here. This was going back to the 80s and 90s when I last came over here, dear listeners. For non-league, it's an interesting scene. I mean, I don't know if I could go regularly to non-league games, but it's always interesting when you do. It's like a parallel world. Quite nice. I mean, obviously fans move around end to end at half time. They've all got beers. There is an authenticity to it that you don't get in the professional game. A bit of a trip down nostalgia lane for me here to come on back over to Bexley Heath after all these years, but it's enjoyable. And I'm really pleased to be able to bring a little bit of coverage to our local sides. I'm certainly going to be going more often than I would have done traditionally to non-league this season anyway. Covering Fisher, Erith Town and Erith and Belvedere, who are interested in ground share here with Welling United. I get a sense they have their own side of the ground, and the side that I'm sitting on I think is the Erith and Belvedere side. One other thing to note, I bought a ticket online. It was actually quite easy. It's got the beating of Millwall, listeners. I went online on the Welling United website before I came over. I set off just about 2 o'clock to come over here. And you can buy your ticket online. They give you a barcode which you can put on your phone, so no, it's a paperless transaction. And there's obviously you can still pay cash at the turnstile, traditional style, but it's just really interesting that the buying of the ticket was dead easy, and they stick it on your phone, in your wallet, the phone wallet I mean, and barcode, and I walked in past a bit of a queue for the cash, so hats off to Welling United on that front. Second half just about to kick off. As all listeners to AchtungMillwall know, I have a fixation with bird shit, and the new stand, when you look closely at some of the seats, is awash with guar, dear listeners. I need a spray down. I sound like I'm almost like Niles Crane out of Fraser, don't I? I'm so finicky. I'm not really. But you've got to be careful with bird shit. It's just the way it is, dear listeners. Second half, Welling will be kicking towards the Parkview Road end, the buses end. Concord attacking the Danson Park end. They need to raise their game in the second half. They were plenty of possession going forwards, but nothing really clinical in front of the Welling goal. Anyway, back later on, dear listeners. Well, halfway through the second half, dear listeners, 67 minutes. It's been pretty much incessant Concord Rangers pressure. Series of great chances that have gone missing. Penalty shout, I thought was a bang-on penalty. They've hit the crossbar. Missed good chances. Welling very much pinned back in this second half. They've barely got out their own half since kick-off. They're on the break here though. I'll stay with it. This is the 23. He's looked like a sharp player, certainly in the first half, less than the second. He's going down the left side. He's run straight into traffic, and that's the end of that. It's been an entertaining game. The second half, Concord have gone much more direct than they were. They were trying to play their way out the back. They've gone long ball, and they're paying off dividends. How long Welling can cling on to this, I don't know. We'll be back later on with the full-time SP, or if there's any incidents. There's the equaliser, dear listeners. Concord have been knocking on the door all afternoon, especially in the second half. It's a really nice run down the left side by the 20, cross into the box and flicked off a Welling boot into the top right-hand corner for one each. 71st minute, as the man says. More than deserved, in all honesty. They've had about 3 or 4 good chances gone begging up until that goal, which was actually a touch of fortune about it. But there we are, it's gone in the net. Welling 1, Concord Rangers 1. Drama. Long range shot from Welling United's number 10. I will tell you who that is in a moment, dear listeners. 89th minute of the game. From distance into the bottom right-hand corner of the Concord goal. It makes it 2-1 for Welling, and a very welcome win, almost certainly now. Let's have a look and see who that chap was. Number 10, Saunders Henry, substitute. Terrific strike, long-range dipping shot along the ground into the bottom right-hand ground corner for 2-1. All this excitement, I haven't got a clue how long there is to go. We're into added time. I don't know how much of that wasn't widely announced. But it's been a good open game, listeners. It's really enjoyable. Ball through to the goalkeeper to finish us. Open game, physical. Concord much more physical in the second half. They will rue a succession of really strong chances that came their way. Welling, I thought, were going to regret that missed penalty in the first half. But as it is, Saunders Henry's late strike appears to have given the points, and that's balled into the mix there. 2 minutes of added time gone now. The goalkeeper, Miles Roberts, and the 23, whose name is Alan, getting involved in a little bit of a mix there. Just waiting for the final whistle any minute now. There it is, the final whistle after 4 minutes added time. It finishes Welling 2, Concord Rangers 1. Welling's 3 welcome points, much against the run of the second half. In truth, I thought Concord would have expected to have got at least the point, if not all 3 out of that second half performance. As it's a terrific win for Welling, which should lift them off the bottom of the National League South table in front of 423 fans here at Parkview Road. Overall, a cracking game, real physical, good, open football. I'd recommend it to anyone in the Welling area. It's great to have come back after all these years. We're talking about 25 years since I was last here. Really enjoyable afternoon. There we are. We'll be back after these messages.
If you're enjoying AchtungMillwall podcast, then why not help us grow the show and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts? We'd love it, if you visit the Apple link in the show notes and leave us a rating and a review. AchtungMillwall is the #1 podcast broadcasting from beautiful South Bermondsey. No show sponsors, no Patreon, and no TikTok accounts. Thank you, dear listeners, and as always, Arrivederci Millwall.
So there we are, dear listeners. I'm back in my my car, what Neil Bradley calls his mobile recording studio. This is my mobile recording studio. Very enjoyable afternoon there at Parkview Road. A win, as we've said already, for Welling, 2-1. That should be enough to lift them off the bottom of the National League South. Looking at the table as we came into today's game, they were rock bottom. Depending on other results, of course, but they were with a 0 coming into the day. Billericay and Hemel Hempstead above them, just also on 0. So hopefully that lifts them away from that bottom single relegation spot, looks like, this season in the National League South. That result, that late goal by Saunders Henry, I've just said hello to Dan from Lions TV. Big shout out to Dan. Tells me that Saunders Henry was an ex-Millwall player. The name sounded familiar to me, but I couldn't place him. But it turns out that is Saunders Henry of ex-Millwall, that long-range winner for Welling United. A nice strike it was too, into the bottom corner. That would then Concord Rangers. They came into today's game in 3rd place. Below them were Ebbsfleet, Havant, Bath City and Braintree. So depending on other results, they will probably take a tumble down the table slightly. Overall, good day, good afternoon out, enjoyable. We're doing these shows really as a promotion, really, to get people to go and support their local football clubs. So far, Michael's been to, obviously, the Erith and Belvedere and Erith Town game the other day. We're going to be focusing on all of our local South East London, Kent, and in my case, some Essex sides as well, as the season proceeds. Mostly it's going to be midweek games that I get to, because for the most part Saturdays are going to be taken up with Millwall. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little look at Welling United. Looking ahead to the forthcoming international break, of course. No Millwall fixture on Saturday, but you can support some of the sides that we've been looking at Fisher are going to be playing Tunbridge Wells on Saturday, the 4th of September. That's at Salter Road, Rotherhithe. Punjab United, great name. I'm going to get down to Punjab United at some stage. Playing Erith Town, who the MSC have links with, and you can get reduced entrance to Erith Town. That game is at Punjab, and I think they play in Gravesend. I will stick the link on for that game later on the show notes. And also on Saturday, Lords Wood are playing Erith and Belvedere. I'll stick a link for that one. I don't know where Lords Wood is. Is that in Kent somewhere? And finally, Welling United are back at Parkview Road playing Slough Town on Saturday, the 4th of September. So Fisher v Tunbridge Wells, Punjab United versus Erith Town, Lords Wood versus Erith and Belvedere, and Welling United versus Slough Town. Hopefully, you can get yourself along to one of those games. It's be great if we can get some support for each of our local sides. So there we are, dear listeners. I hope you've enjoyed this edition of Achtung Grassroots. I've certainly enjoyed making it, and as the season goes along, expect some more games of a similar ilk. Until then, dear listeners, my name has been Nick Hart, and we're signing out for the afternoon. Until the next edition, bye for now.
You're listening to Achtung Millwall.